Hello and welcome to this Beyond Exploring session. I am your host, Robert Crighton, and we are coming to the end of Antonio's Revenge by John Marston, the end of a two-part saga that we have been exploring all this week. And I think this play has definitely brought me into mind the great saying by that great thinker, head of the Terran Federation, Supreme Commander Servalan, that where there's life, there's threat. And that came very powerfully to mind with this play, and with so many people looking over their shoulders, murdering each other, generally doing all sorts of terrible things to each other, because you just can't trust people because people are just rubbish. And that's the moral of the story. So thank you for staying with us this week. We're going to end there. No, we are going to finish this saga. You can tell it's the end of the week, can't you? We are going through Act 4 and Act 5 of Antonio's Revenge, and I think it's fair to say that at this stage, what's happening is there's some revenging going on. Stuff happened before. Go back and watch the other videos. That would be fab. We have a wonderful team of people with us today who are going to guide you through this text. So in no particular order whatsoever, reading Alberto and Senator number 1 is...
Hi, I'm Alan Scott. I'm based in Suffolk.
And reading Antonio, the title Revenger of this piece, is...
Hi, I'm Sarah Blake. I'm an actor, writer and director.
And reading Strotzo and Galeatzo is...
Hello, I'm William Sutton. I'm an actor and I'm based in Amsterdam.
And reading Mariah, mother to Antonio, is...
Hi, I'm Liz Hill and I'm in North Devon.
And reading Barlurdo, the virtuous, no, probably not. Reading Barlurdo is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good, I'm a historian.
And reading Pandulpho, the magnificent, no, hang on, never mind. Pandulpho is...
Hi, I'm Pamela Flanagan, I'm an Irish actor based in London.
And reading Piero, the Duke of all evilness, is...
Hi, I'm Tamara. I am usually also based in London, but currently in Germany.
And reading Lucio and the Ghost of Andrugio is...
Hi, I'm Aliki Chapple. I'm half Greek and half American, based in Lancaster, and I'm a theatre maker and translator from the Greek.
And finally, reading Mellida and Senator 2 is...
Hi, I'm Veronica, and I'm excited to see how this will end.
Oh, endings, delicious endings. So many endings, I think, is fair to say, coming up here. We're into Act 4, as said, and we will begin Act 4 with Scene 1, which I believe is traditional. So, enter Antonio in a fool's habit, with a little toy of a walnut shell and soap to make bubbles. I love the props for this play. So little bubble pipe there, kind of thing. Is that what's going on? Let's find out in a moment. Also entering Mariah and Alberto.
Away with this disguise in any hand.
Aye, 'tis unsuiting to your late spirit. Rather put on some trans-shaped cavalier, some habit of a spitting critic, whose mouth avoids nothing but gentile and unvulgar room of censure. Rather assume...
Why, then I should put on the very flesh of solid folly. No, this coxcomb is a crown, which I affect even with unbounded zeal.
'Twill thwart your plot, disgrace your high resolve.
By wisdom's heart, there is no essence mortal that I can envy, but a plump-cheeked fool. Oh, he hath a patent of immunities, confirmed by custom, sealed by policy, as large as spacious thought.
You cannot press among the courtiers and have access to...
What? Not a fool? Why, friend, a golden ass, a babbled fool are sole canonical, whilst pale-cheek wisdom and lean-ribbed art are kept in distance at the halbert's point, all held apocrypha, not worth survey. Why, by the genius of that Florentine, deep observing, sound-brained Machiavel, he is not wise that strives not to seem fool. When will the Duke hold feed intelligence, keep wary observation in large pay, to dog a fool's act?
Aye, but feigning known disgraceth much.
Pish. Most things that morally adhere to souls wholly exist in drunk opinion. Who is reeling censure if I value not, it values naught.
You are transported with too slight a thought. If you but meditate of what is past and what you plot to pass.
Even in that, note a fool's beatitude. He is not capable of passion, wanting the power of distinction. He bears an unturned sail with every wind, blow east, blow west, he stirs his course alike. I never saw a fool lean. The chub-faced fop shines sleek with full-crammed fat of happiness, while studious contemplation sucks the juice from wizards' cheeks, who, making curious search for nature's secrets, the first innating cause laughs them to scorn, as man doth busy apes when they will zany men. Had heaven been kind, creating me an honest, senseless dolt, a good poor fool, I should not want sense to feel the stings of anguish shoot through every vein. I should not know what 'twere to lose a father. I should be dead of sense to view defame blur my bright love. I could not run thus mad as one confounded in a maze of mischief, staggered, stark, felled with bruising stroke of chance. I should not shoot mine eyes into the earth, pouring for mischief that might counterpoise mischief, murder, and...
And enter Lucio.
How now, Lucio?
My lord, the Duke with the Venetian states approached the great hall to judge Mellida.
Asked he for Giulio yet?
No motion of him. Dare you trust this habit?
Alberto, see you straight rumour me dead. Leave me, good mother, leave me, Lucio. Forsake me all.
And they exit except for Antonio.
Now, patience hoop my sides with steeled ribs, lest I do burst my breast with struggling passions. Now disguise, stand bold. Poor scorned habits oft choice souls enfold.
Oh, I'm just going to pause here before we have the mass entrance of the court. And this really does bring us back to all the way back, not just to the Hamlet, but also to the original story of Amleth, because this is all so pertinent to that, where the feigning of being mad is an explicit political gesture made by the central figure so that no one can touch them. Say, I'm mad, you can't touch me, la 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 la, and it's a very clear decision, and that just keeps coming through here. And I do wonder whether the Hamlet had much more explicit mentioning of this and of the nature of the central figure's madness being much more politically obvious than otherwise made out. So also, rumour me dead, which in the Amleth story, Amleth returns to the court having been announced to be dead, because that's part of the plot to murder everybody. Not suggesting that that's in any way where we're going, but just mentioning that as being an element there. Any little thoughts that anyone's had here, being awfully careful to stay within the rules? Any thoughts from this little opening gambit for the act?
It's an awful lot of philosophy for Act 5.
Not yet. We're still Act 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're still Act 4. Oh, yes, yes, of course. Sorry. Strike that last remark.
Well, no, it's still a pertinent result. You could argue it's perfect amount of philosophy for Act 4. I think it's a very good point. Pamela, did I see a waving hand?
Yeah, it's only a tiny thing, but it's just the fact that Antonio pretends to be dead in Antonio and Mellida, and now he's using the same tactic again here.
Ah, good call back to part 1. Lovely. Yeah, so I love the props. I'm loving the props. I don't know what he's doing with the props, but he's got props. Give an actor props. Heaven help us all. Okay. Any additional thoughts before we crack on? No. Okay. So the cornets sound a senate and enter Castillo, Forobosco, Barlurdo, and Alberto with poleaxes. Lucio bear, followed by Piero and Maria talking together. 2 senators, Galeatzo, Maggiorenti, how long has it been since we heard of him, and Nutrice.
Entreat me not. There's not a beauty lives hath that imperial predominance. My effects as your enchanting graces. Yet give me leave to be myself.
A villain.
Just.
Most just.
Most just and upright in our judgment seat. Were Mellida mine eye with such a blemish of most loathed looseness, I would scratch it out. Produce the strumpet in her bridal robes, that she may blush to appear so white in show and black in inward substance. Bring her in.
Exeunt Forobosco and Castilio to do so.
I hold Antonio for his father's sake so very dearly, so entirely choice, that I knew I but a thought of prejudice imagined against his high ennobled blood. I would maintain a mortal feud, undying hate, against the conceiver's life. And shall justice sleep in fleshly lethargy, for mine own blood's favour, when the sweet prince hath so apparent scorn by my, I will not call her daughter, go, conduct in the loved youth Antonio.
And exit Alberto to fetch Antonio.
He shall behold me spurn my private good. Piero loves his honour more than's blood.
The devil, he does more than both.
Stand back there, fool. I do hate a fool most pathetically. Oh, these that have no sap of retort and obtuse wit in them. Faugh!
Hold, world. Hold, bubble. Hold, world. Oh, break not behind. Thou art full of wind. Keep up thy wind. Oh, 'tis broke. And now I laugh like a good fool at the breath of mine own lips.
You fool!
You fool?
I cannot digest thee, the unvulgar fool. Go fool.
Forbear, Barlurdo, let the fool alone. Come hither. Is he your fool?
Yes, my loved lord.
Would all the states in Venice were like thee. Oh, then I were secured. He that's a villain, or but meanly sold, must still converse and cling to routes of fools that cannot search the leaks of his defects. Oh, your unsalted fresh fool is your only man. These vinegar-tart spirits are too piercing, too searching in the unglued joints of shaken wits. Find they a chink, they'll wriggle in, and eat like salt sea in his pseudo ribs, till they have opened all his rotten parts unto the vaunting surge of base contempt, and sunk the tossed Galeatzo in depth of whirlpool scorn. Give me an honest fop. Dud, ah! Why, lo, sir, this takes he as grateful now as a monopoly.
The still flute sounds softly. I don't have a flute on hand, I'm afraid. So enter Forobosco and Castilio, Mellida supported by two awaiting women.
All honour to this royal confluence.
Forbear, impure, to blot bright honour's name with thy defiled lips. The flux of sin flows from thy tainted body. Thou so foul, so all dishonoured, canst no honour give. No wish of good that can have good effect to this grave senate, and illustrate bloods. Why stays the doom of death?
Who rises up to manifest her guilt?
You must produce apparent proof, my lord.
Why? Where is Strotzo? He that swore he saw the very act and vowed that Felice fled upon his sight, on which I break the breast of the adulterous lecher with 5 stabs. Go, fetch in Strotzo. Now, thou impudent! If thou hast any drop of modest blood shrouded within thy cheeks, blush, blush for shame, that rumour yet may say thou felt'st defame.
Produce the devil, let your Strotzo come. I can defeat his strongest argument with...
With what?
With tears, with blushes, sighs, and clasped hands, with innocent upreared arms to heaven, with my unnooked simplicity. These must, will, can only quit my heart of guilt. Heaven permits not taintless blood be spilt. If no remorse live in your savage breast,
Then thou must die.
yet dying I'll be blessed.
Accursed by me.
Yet blessed, in that I strove to live and die.
My hate.
Antonio's love.
Antonio's love.
And we're just going to pause there before the entrance of Strotzo with a cord about his neck, because I'm sure that's going to go well. We've heard about that earlier in the play. So many things here. What Piero is doing to his daughter.
I know.
More horrible, isn't he?
Yeah, it may all be part of a plot that he's got, that he's going to somehow undo some of this later, as he stated. But even so, blimey.
A pawn.
Yeah, it's just so. That said, we've also got Antonio. They call for Antonio, and of course, Antonio's on stage, blowing away on it. Very nicely done there, by the way. Beautiful work. Beautiful work.
Thank you. I'm here all week.
So the script says the word puff, but Sarah was actually doing a blowing of the bubbles with the puff hold bubble. So it's this interesting question of what is word, what is action, which we've had so many times in these plays. Actually,
I did practice, because when I read it through this morning, I thought, oh, I've got some of those. And so I tried doing like puff and saying the word to blow through, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just goes everywhere. And there are no bubbles. So, yeah.
Well, we have other sort of words for sounds as well in other Marston plays as well. So it does definitely seems to be a thing that he's got a whole rostrum of selection of things that he does to indicate what he wants, not just in stage directions. Other thoughts?
There's something very nice about that finishing of the line with the word that's not intended, little exchange, that little stichomythia at the end. I don't know what you call it in English.
Where? Sorry.
Sorry, just at the end of the bit we did with Mellida and Piero.
Oh, I see. Got to live and die.
Curse, live and die, hate, love. Yeah, that.
Yeah. People interrupting each other's sentences, which is sort of what Zoom is basically like. Because we have it throughout the scene. A villain, most just. You fool, fool. Everyone's using the same word, dancing around those words. Piero, once again, talking about an honest fop. He wants to be surrounded by simple idiots as his ideal court, isn't it? Because they can't plot against him.
Yeah. I mean, we had that on Act 1, Scene 1.
Yeah. So he's consistent.
Oh, yes.
He knows what he wants.
A cabinet of second-raters.
Yep. And, we know how many times poor Felice was stabbed. 5 stabs. Very specific there. Nice to have some detail. We didn't see it happen. So suggests a certain amount of frenzy.
Is there also a biblical reference?
No idea. Good
thought. The 5 wounds.
Ooh. That's clever. Like that. Okay, yeah, I'm going to make a note of that for the future. See what the internet thinks about that one. Love that. Okay. Any other additional thoughts before we crack on? These scenes sort of tend to run into themselves and keep going. So,
well, we've got another Marston list.
Yeah.
And he says, with what? With tears, with blushes, sighs, and clasped hands, with innocent upward arms, without unlooked. Again, it's just typical of this guy.
List man.
It's
almost a Jeffrey Archer paid by the word job.
Play's not that long. Okay, so enter Strotzo, and this image of someone entering with a cord around their neck, we may remember from last week. Is I think that turns up in Spanish tragedy. I could be wrong there. People entering with nooses around their necks, and people entering carrying swords and poignards and making very specific gestures is something that this play is borrowing again from. So enter Strotzo. It's going to go well, Strotzo. Good luck on you.
Oh, what vast ocean of repentant tears can cleanse my breast from the polluting filth of ulcerous sin? Supreme efficient, why cleavest thou not my breast with thunderbolts of winged revenge?
What means this passion?
What villainy are they decocting now?
In me convertite ferum, o proceres, nihil iste nec ista.
Lay hold on him. What strange portent is this?
I will not flinch. Death, hell more grimly stare within my heart than in your threatening brows. Record, thou threefold guard of dreadest power. What I here speak is forced from my lips by the impulsive strain of conscience. I have a mount of mischief clogs my soul, as weighty as the high knolled Apennine, which I must straight disgorge, or breast will burst. I have defamed this lady wrongfully by instigation of Antonio, whose reeling love, tossed on each fancy's surge, began to loathe before it fully joyed.
Go seize Antonio, guard him strongly in.
And exit Forobosco to do so.
By his ambition being only bribed, feed by his impious hand, I poisoned his aged father, that his thirsty hopes might quench their dropsy of aspiring drought with full unbounded quaff.
Seize me, Antonio!
Oh, why permit you now such scum of filth as Strotzo is to live and taint the air with his infectious breath?
Myself will be thy strangler, unmatched slave.
Piero comes from his chair, snatcheth the cord's end, and Castilio aideth him, both strangle Strotzo.
Now change your...
I pluck Castilio! I change my humour, pluck Castilio! Die with thy death's entreats even in thy jaws. Now, my plot begins to work. Why thus should statesmen do, that cleave through knots of craggy policies, use men like wedges, one strike out another, till by degrees the tough and gnarly trunk be rived in sunder. Where's Antonio?
Enter Alberto running.
Oh, black accursed fate! Antonio's drowned!
Speak on thy faith, on thy allegiance, speak.
As I do love Piero, he is drowned!
In an inundation of amazement.
Aye, is this the close of all my strains and love? O me, most wretched maid.
Antonio drowned? How? How? Antonio drowned?
Distraught and raving from a turret's top, he threw his body in the swollen sea. As he headed headlong, topsy-turvy dinged down, he still cried, Mellida!
My love's bright crown.
He still cried, Mellida.
Daughter, methinks your eyes should sparkle joy, your bosom rise on tiptoe at this news.
Ay, me.
How now, I, me? Why art not great of thanks to gracious heaven for the just revenge upon the author of thy obloquies? Sorry.
Sweet beauty, I could sigh as fast as you, but that I know that which I weep to know. His fortune should be such he dare not show his open presence.
I know he loved me dearly, dearly, aye. And since I cannot live with him, I die.
And she swoons.
For heaven, her speech falters. Look, she swoons. Convey her up into her private bed.
Maria, Nutrice, and the ladies bear out Mellida as being swooned.
I hope she'll live. If not...
Antonio's dead! The fool will follow too. Now works the scene. Quick observation, scud to coat the plot, or else the path is lost. My very self am gone, my way is fled. Aye, all is lost if Mellida is dead.
And exit Antonio. So much happening here. We knew what was going to happen to Strotzo. It was explained to us earlier. The fact that this just happens in front of the whole court and nobody says a damn thing. I mean, wow, they've got cynical.
In fact, there was help with the strangling.
Yes, it's a two-person job. It's hard work doing a strangling. I've staged many a strangling in my time. You know, they take a long time if you're doing them properly. How much rehearsal have Strotzo and Piero had with this bit? Because it seems very well coordinated. And then the interjections and the thing, and poor Strotzo doesn't have the wit to know what's coming.
No.
Yeah, does he think that the king is going to change his mind?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
He's been told explicitly they're going to pretend to strangle him and then forgive him at the last moment.
And that's
just
his,
going,
your humour changes. But
yeah, bear of little brain. Bear of little brain.
They did work on it, didn't they? Because even Strotzo was adding to it, saying, "I'll come in raging," yeah. So there was almost like a mini rehearsal ahead of time.
Yeah, and that he's an enthusiastic murderee. Again, calling back a bit to Spanish tragedy with the people enthusiastically rehearsing their own death. I've got a note of a callback somewhere. Yeah, and then the news that Antonio's dead and everyone's doing their different reactions. Mother knows it's a trick. Mother knows. But then Piero's line, "I hope she'll live. If not."
If not.
Yeah.
I want to know what the end of that sentence is.
Whatever.
If not, we're going to have another funeral.
Well, no. If not, what's my next plan? What's my next move? Perhaps. I mean, you might. I think. It's a real question. What does Piero do with that line? And we got people bearing Mellida out. Is it in the same way as the four people were carrying whoever it was the other day?
Mariah.
Mariah.
Yeah. Is it the same configuration? Do they have a swooning woman exit strategy that everyone's rehearsed?
A task force.
Yeah. Like in football games when the team comes on and
yeah.
By the left, march.
But nobody says a damn thing. He's just murdered him, and then Piero gets a speech. He gets an aside that's 6-7 lines long, and it's like everyone just pauses. Where I'm just going to be evil with the audience now. Everyone's frozen or something, If it was modern, I'd do a lighting change and a sound effect to it, sort of. And now I'm going to do a speech while everyone else is frozen, kind of thing. Any thoughts about that scene or where we are in Act 4? It's moving along quick. Body counts building.
So, what do you think Antonio is actually thinking of doing an action here? But now that she swooned, he's like, "Oh, maybe she is dead. Maybe I don't have to do my revenge bit here."
It might be that he's just going to check that she's all right, and that it's all pointless if she is dead.
Okay.
All is lost if Mellida is dead, and then he
Right.
runs off. So
I think isn't he just really just? I mean, he's just heard the new. Well, he's just seen what's happened. He's in shock. So is he not just? Yeah, he's run off to find out what's actually happened to her. But I don't know that that's going to change his.
Right? It shouldn't.
It shouldn't change his. I mean, it might temporarily set him aback just because he's so like, oh, but it shouldn't change his.
It should exacerbate it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In a way.
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, that's the thing is, he's not really thinking about Mellida's feelings because he's faked his own death without telling her, and he's murdered. She doesn't know this yet, but he's also murdered her brother, and he's about to murder her father. And whatever issues she has with Daddy, and she has quite a few. That still is going to pack a bit of a punch without some sort of conversation.
Sorry.
Yeah, murdering your girlfriend's father is generally contraindicated.
Just having that conversation in my head where they talk about it afterwards, and he says, "Oh, whenever I try and do something nice for you, it's never right."
You had me locked up in a dungeon, Dad.
Okay, the scene is not over, however. Just because Antonio's left the building does not mean that Piero is not still doing all sorts of plotting-y things. The scene has a little way to go yet. So Piero is left on with Alberto. We can assume some other people are pootling about. Barlurdo will pop up and say some dialogue in a bit. And Maria will re-enter a little later on. So let's head to the end of the scene, I think, here. Exit Antonio, Piero alone, well, with some people.
Alberto, I am kind. Alberto, kind. I am sorry for thy cuz. I in faith I am. Go take him down and bear him to his father. Let him be buried. Look ye, I'll pay the priest.
Please you to admit his father to the court?
No.
Please you to restore his lands and goods again?
No.
Please you vouchsafe him lodging in the city?
God's foot, no, thou odd uncivil fellow. I think you do forget, sir, where you are.
I know you do forget, sir, where you must be.
You are too malapert, i' faith you are. Your honour might do well to...
Police parasite, thou burr that only sticks unto the nap of greatness.
Away with that same yelping cur, away.
I'm gone. But mark, Piero, this. There is a thing called scourging nemesis.
Exit Alberto. Not desperately unreasonably, I feel, from what's just happened there. Barlurdo now chats to Piero.
Odd Neeks, he has wrong. That he has. And s'foot were I as he, I would bear no coals. Law, I begin to swell.
Now, fool, fop, fool.
Fool, fop, fool, marry, muffle. I pray you, how many fools have you seen go in a suit of satin? I hope yet I do not look a fool, i' faith. A fool. God's balls, I scorn it with my heel. Sneaks and I were worth but £300 a year more, I could swear richly. Nay, but as a poor man as I am, I will swear the fellow hath wrong.
Young Galeatzo, I, a proper man. Florence, a goodly city. It shall be so. I'll marry her to him instantly. Then Genoa mine by my Maria's match, which I'll solemnize next setting sun. Thus Venice, Florence, Genoa, strongly leagued. Excellent, excellent. I'll conquer Rome, pop out the light of bright religion, and then helter-skelter all cocksure.
Go to, 'tis just. The man hath wrong. Go to.
Go to, thou shalt have right. Go to, Castilio. Clap him into the palace dungeon. Lap him in rags and let him feed on slime that smears the dungeon cheek. Away with him.
In very good truth now, I'll ne'er do so more. This one time and...
Way with him. Observe it strictly. Go.
Why then, O wight, alas, poor knight, O well-a-day, Sir Geoffrey, let poets roar and all deplore, for now I bid you good night.
Exit Barlurdo with Castilio. Re-enter Maria.
Oh, piteous end of love. Oh, too rude hand of unrespected death. Alas, sweet maid.
Forbear me, heaven, what intend these plaints?
The beauty of admired creation, the life of modest, unmixed purity, our sex's glory. Mellida is
What, O heaven, what?
dead,
May it not sad your thoughts how?
being laid upon her bed. She grasped my hand and kissing it spake thus, Thou very poor, why dost not weep? The jewel of thy brow, the rich adornment that enchased thy breast is lost. Thy son, my love, is lost, is dead. And do I live to say Antonio's dead? And have I lived to see his virtues blurred with guiltless blots? O world, thou art too subtle for honest natures to converse withal. Therefore I'll leave thee. Farewell, mart of woe. I fly to clip my love, Antonio. With that her head sunk down upon her breast. Her cheek changed earth, her senses slept in rest, until my fool that pressed upon the bed screeched out so loud that he brought back her soul, called her again that her bright eyes gan ope, and stared upon him. He, audacious fool, dared kiss her hand, wished her soft rest, love bride. She fumbled out, thanks, good, and so she died.
And so she died. I do not use to weep, but by thy love, out of whose fertile sweet I hope for as fair fruit, I am deep sad. I will not stay my marriage for all this. Castilio, Forobosco, all, strain all your wits, wind up invention, unto his highest bent so sweet this night. Make us drink lethe by your quaint conceits, that for 2 days oblivion smother grief. But when my daughter's exequies approach, let's all turn sires. Come, despite of fate, sound loudest music, let's pace out in state.
And the cornets sound and they exit. So he's sad. He's very sad. He's very sad. Let's get married. He's really sad.
He said, I'm really
Daughter's
sad. Let's have
dead.
a party.
Really sad. Really sad. So did someone make the mistake? I mean, it's just that whole thing of, I am kind, Alberto. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your friend. The one lying there. Sorry about that. Really sorry. Well, do we get something for his family and his, etc.? No.
Not that sorry.
Nothing. No. Sorry, you complaining?
See that bit of rope?
And then Barlurdo, who suddenly seems to speak up and say something nice.
Yeah.
Sarah, go.
I have a little question about that scene with Piero and Alberto.
Yeah.
Is it possible there that he's talking about Felice? Has Felice been hanging there the whole time?
No.
No, I think he's talking about Strotzo.
Because then when he's saying, "Oh, we bring him back, have him back to the city," is he not talking about Pandulpho, who he's exiled?
That was my thought as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Because
So
I
he
didn't
has
think.
been hanging there all this time.
Yeah, this is the thing. Has he been there?
Maybe he is.
maybe he's still there. God, the place must reek.
But I never thought it was of such station that he had lands.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
His
Yeah.
father was allowable to court. So I was confused as to who they were actually talking about.
Because he does say, "Go take him down,"
Yeah.
which suggests that he's been hanging up.
Yeah.
Whereas, Strotzo would be lying on the floor. I don't know. It just suddenly occurred to me, oh my God, is this Felice he's talking about?
Actually, it would make sense if it is Felice because they've just effectively they've just saved his reputation.
Right, because he's now in the...
Yes, true.
Yeah.
So that does make sense. But he's still not getting any compensation for being dead.
No. And Pandulpho is still exiled, so yeah.
And then Barlurdo seems to step up to the plate.
Yes.
Helen, I thought you'd be pleased.
Oh, my hero.
And of course, what immediately happens to speaking truth to power there?
Yeah, he's in the dungeon.
Yeah, off you go. And it's not only that, it's the fact Piero just ignores him. He just keeps doing his speech. I mean, it's just like he's just done this thing about, oh, it's all terrible, what's going on. And he just goes, yeah, I'm going to do the marrying thing, and we're going to do the thing, and we're going to marry daughter off now. That's fine. That's all lined up. And then Barlurdo gets to do some bad poetry.
Jaffaré.
That was great. Yeah,
I think it's very important that Barlurdo takes himself seriously.
Yeah, we talked before about, well, was he a fool or was he a just a foolish courtier? And I think he's got it that explicitly says he's not a fool. He just looks a bit foppish. There's a brain going on underneath there. And
if he had more money, he could swear better.
Yeah. So yeah, bless him. Bless his little cotton socks.
His satin socks.
I'm sure are fabulous as well. And then Mariah enters, and Mellida's dead. She's
Allegedly.
Dead.
Or is she, though?
But is that what you're supposed to think? Are you
You're
expecting
supposed to
for the
think
conventions of this kind of thing that it's a trick and that she's not dead because you haven't seen her dead?
Yeah.
Or is she supposed to be dead? And that's the double bluff. See, I don't know with this play.
No, me either. Can't trust Marston.
Yeah. It's a Schrodinger's cat, a sort of Schrodinger's Mellida situation here. She's both dead and alive at the same time. And he's really sad. He's really sad.
I'm having way too much fun with it.
He doesn't seem to feel anything at all. He's just pure psychopath.
Yeah.
He's entirely sociopathic. He just doesn't care. It's all a game that he's playing.
Except that one strand of his plot is going to fall apart if Mellida is truly dead, because he can't marry her off to Galeatzo, and therefore
get Florence, yeah.
put his hands on Florence or Zebedee.
Maybe he'll bring Rosaline back.
I was going to say.
I'm going to adopt you, and then
give her another play.
She's his niece. So.
She's his niece, so there is a blood relation there.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I'd love to see her in charge of a city-state. Okay, I think we need to pull it back in, people. Let's pull it back in. I'm sorry. I'm doing this. Okay. So we haven't finished the act yet. There's still another scene to go, and Antonio's gone to the dressing up box again. Enter Antonio Solus in fool's habit still.
Ay, heaven, thou mayst omnipotence. What vermin bred of putrefacted slime shall dare to expostulate with thy decrees? Oh, heaven, thou mayst indeed. She was all thine, all heavenly. I did but humbly beg to borrow her of thee a little time. Thou gavest her me, as some weak-breasted dame giveth her infant, puts it out to nurse, and when it once goes high-loan, takes it back. She was my vital blood, and yet I'll not blaspheme. Look, here, behold.
Antonio pulls off his cap and lieth just upon his back.
I turn my prostrate breast upon thy face and vent a heaving sigh. Oh, but hear this. I am a poor orphan, a weak child. The rack of spitted fortune, the very ooze, the quicksand that devours all misery. Behold the valiant'st creature that doth breathe. For all this, I dare live. and I will live, only to numb some other's cursed blood with the dead palsy of like misery. Then death, like to a stifling incubus, lie on my bosom. Lo, see, I am sped. My breast is Golgotha, grave for the dead.
Enter Pandulpho, Alberto and a page, carrying Felice's trunk in a winding sheet, and lay it thwart Antonio's breast.
Oh my God.
God, you know, he's getting more stage time than he did when he was alive.
That's true.
Okay, Pandulpho, over to you.
Antonio, kiss my foot. I honour thee in laying thwart my blood upon thy breast. I tell thee, boy, he was Pandulpho's son, and I do grace thee with supporting him. Young man, he who hath naught that fortune's gripe can seize, the domineering monarch of the earth, he who is all impregnably his own, he whose great heart heaven cannot force with force, vouchsafes his love. Non servio Deo seud assentio.
I have lost a good wife.
Didst find her good, or didst thou make her good? If found, thou mayest re-find, because thou hadst her. If made, the work is lost, but thou that madest her lives yet as cunning. Hast lost a good wife? Thrice blessed man that lost her while she was good, fair, young, unblemished, constant, loving, chaste. I tell thee, youth, age knows, young loves seem graced, which with grey cares rude jars are oft defaced.
But she was full of hope.
Maybe, but that which maybe stood stands now without all may. She died good. And dost thou grieve?
I have lost a true friend.
I live encompassed with two blessed souls. Thou lost a good wife, thou lost a true friend. Two of the rarest lendings of the heavens, but lendings which at the fixed day of pay set down by fate thou must restore again. Oh, what unconscionable souls are here! Are you all like the spokeshaves of the church? Have you no more to restitution? Hast lost a good friend, coz? Then thou hadst one. I tell thee, youth, 'tis all as difficult to find true friend in this apostate age, that balks all right affiance twixt two hearts, as 'tis to find a fixed, modest heart under a painted breast. Lost a true friend. Oh, happy soul that lost him whilst he was true. Believe it, coz, I to my tears have found oft dirt's respect makes firmer friends unsound.
You have lost a good son.
Why, where's the comfort on't that he was good? Alas, poor innocent.
Why weeps mine uncle?
Dost ask me why? Good coz, look here.
He shows him his son's breast.
Man will break out despite philosophy. Why, all this while I had played a part, like to some boy that acts a tragedy, speaks burly words and raves out passion. But when he thinks upon his infant weakness, he droops his eye. I spake more than a god, yet am less than a man. I am the miserablest soul that breathes.
Slid, sir, ye lie. By the heart of grief, thou liest. I scorn that any wretched should survive, outmounting me in that superlative, most miserable, most unmatched in woe. Who dare assume that but Antonio?
Will still be so, and shall yon bloodhound live?
Oh, have I an arm, a heart, a sword, a soul?
Were you but private unto what we... Oh, sorry.
Were you but private unto what we know?
I'll know it all. First, let's inter the dead. Let's dig his grave with that shall dig the heart, liver, and entrails of the murderer.
They strike the stage with their daggers, and the grave openeth.
Wilt sing a dirge, boy?
No, no song. 'Twill be vile out of tune.
Indeed, he's hoarse. The poor boy's voice is cracked.
Why, coz? Why should it not be hoarse and cracked when all the strings of nature's symphony are cracked and jar? Why should his voice keep tune when there's no music in the breast of man? I'll say an honest antic rhyme I have. Help me, good sorrow mates, to give him grave.
And they all help to carry Felice finally to his grave.
Death, exile, plaints, and woe are but man's lackeys, not his foe. No mortal escapes from fortune's war without a wound, at least a scar. Many have led thee to the grave, but all shall follow, none shall save. Blood of my youth, rot and consume, virtue in dearth doth life assume. With this old soul close up this dust, thrice blessed man that dieth just.
The gloomy wing of night begins to stretch his lazy pinion o'er the air. We must be stiff and steady in resolve. Let's thus our hands, our hearts, our arms involve.
They wreathe their arms.
Now, swear we by this Gordian knot of love, by the fresh turned up mound that wraps my son, by the dread brow of triple Hecate, ere night shall close the lids of yon bright stars, we'll sit as heavy on Piero's heart as Aetna doth on groaning Pelorus.
Thanks, good old man. We'll cast at royal chance. Let's think a plot, then pell-mell vengeance.
Exuent their arms reaved. Thunder, thunder, thundercats, ho. It's quite a change of pace, that scene. Again, it keeps wrong footing us. We go to a scene that is really mostly played, feels very straight. It feels like Pandulpho's entered from a different play to lend some weight and gravitas. And yet we still have this thing of striking at the stage with their daggers and to literally dig a grave. I assume at some point the stage just opens up very conveniently beneath them. And Felice finally gets interred. I think Helen's absolutely... that body's been hanging there the entire play. It was behind a curtain to start with, and then it's just been there. It's just been there. Wow, that's an image to, leave the audience hanging with. Thoughts about that? Antonio pulls off his cap and lies just upon his back. It's almost like he's doing being a bit of a baby there. It says just his back. It's like he's there going, weak child. Where? It almost feels like it could have gone much more extreme. And then Pandulpho's the one who comes in and sort of pulls it back with some dignity. Because again, remember, Antonio, child murderer. Just gonna keep throwing that one in. Not a great chap.
But it's quite funny when he leaps up and says, "No, you're not the one who's the most miserable. I am." That could be quite humorous, really.
Yeah. It also seems that Mellida is dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Or believed to be dead.
Do people lie in soliloquies?
Good point.
Yeah.
Strotzo is also dead.
Strotzo is also dead, yes.
So is
but we have oracular proof of that.
Yeah, we saw it happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, we saw it happen.
Yeah.
But
the one thing that got me is the really gross bit of staging, which is the stage direction, page 43, where they lay Felice's trunk athwart
the body of Antonio. Yeah.
I mean, that must make his acting somewhat tricky.
Well, I mean, they would have used a straw puppet, surely, for Felice.
Rather than a human hanging there for an entire play.
Well, especially a human trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And-
even so, he's going to be hampered, isn't he? In terms of
No,
his
I don't.
movement?
I don't think a thwart means over. I think it's beside. I think that
Oh,
must
I
be
read
it.
it.
Good
It's on
point.
top of.
On his breast.
Mm.
Thwart,
That's what? Across.
right?
I would have thought a cross was the meaning of it, but it may be
Well, I'm
changed.
just looking at where the scene seems to go. I don't know if it is.
It may be a
I mean,
word that's changed meaning.
Well, he doesn't say anything as well for a lot, very much. He says the odd line, so it's fine if he's underneath the body. That's absolutely fine.
Probably can't. He's like,
Yeah, because we do have a stage direction which we didn't read in because you jumped in very, very quickly for dramatic emphasis. But it does say Antonio starts up, and of course it could be a moment of bathos because it could be.
And the body rolls across the.
Yeah. Because that is that thing. This scene, this whole play is constantly playing between bathos and pathos, and conventions and genre, and I think that's going to be down to the actors, isn't it, to some degree, where you place this scene, because Pandulpho is safe and Antonio are playing totally different energies. They've got totally different universes.
I've got thwart as cross, traverse, go over.
Okay, then we'll go with that. Yep.
So
we're leaning towards the bathos there than the pathos. Fascinating.
I do find it fascinating that Antonio would be lying there with the body over him and then being like, but I've lost my good wife. You know, I have a dead body on top of me, but I've lost my wife.
but you can imagine picking it up and handing it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
Throw.
you're waiting for someone to say, ew.
I mean, that's the thing. It's that body's been hanging there a while. It must be revolting.
Yes. Yes. Well, of course, this was the norm. I mean, a traitor's body would be hung on a gibbet in plain sight, usually within a metal cage to prevent things dropping off while the birds attacked it. And no doubt they smelt.
Yeah. And you've got the fact that it is explicitly described as a trunk. So where's the head gone?
Oh God! What do you think he's been quartered?
Well, there's the possibility on that.
Yeah.
It says in a winding sheet, so we're not getting any details here. You know, it's just a blob.
Yeah, but it is described as a trunk throughout rather than as a body.
Yes.
Yes,
Rather than a corpse.
The winding sheet must be quite blood-soaked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's got to look grim. It's got to look grim. Okay, I think we've got good speculation about Act 4. A lot more philosophy, as Helen mentioned earlier, in Act 4. We're going to, however, we've got a mission statement for Act 5 in the end of Act 4, then pell-mell violence. So I think we should say to the audience at home, trigger warning. Some revenge may occur. Any final thoughts on Act 4? No. Okay, we have another dumb show to open Act 5. The cornets sound for the act, so you've probably all gone off, had a very short break, downed a cup of wine, and now return for the dumb show. Enter at one door, Castillo and Forobosco with halberts. 4 pages with torches. Lucio, bear. Piero, Maria, and Alberto talking. Alberto draws out his dagger. Maria, her knife, aiming to menace the Duke. Then Galeatzo, betwixt 2 senators, reading a paper to them, at which they all make semblance of loathing. Piero, can we have some loathing, please? Thank you very much. And knit their fists at him. 2 ladies and nutrice something. They're just there. All these go softly over the stage, whilst at the other door enters the ghost of Andrugio, who passeth by them, tossing his torch about his head in triumph. All forsaking the stage, saving Andrugio, who begins the act, speaking thusly.
I'm sorry, can I come in here?
Yes.
Lucio Bear. It's the second time we've had Lucio Bear. Do people think this means he isn't carrying anything or that he's bareheaded?
Or could he be... No, that would say if it was a sword, it'd be drawn, wouldn't it?
I think it must be that he isn't carrying anything, because every time it comes after saying what the people just before him.
Yeah.
He's just there.
Yeah, he's just walking on no props.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels like that's possibly an actual practical stage direction for the actor. If you've got nothing for this scene, especially for a dumb show where explaining what actors explicitly should be doing is quite important, because they've got no dialogue to carry it. I love the semblance of loathing. Ooh, I'll get you. It's a very on the buses moment. Okay. So we've had the dumb show, and the ghost of Andrugio sets the tone.
Venit dies tempusque quo redat suis animam squalentem sceleribus. The fist of strenuous vengeance is clutched, and stern Vindicta towereth up aloft, that she may fall with a more weighty pace and crush life sap from out Piero's veins. Now 'gins the leprous cores of ulcered sins wheel to a head. Now is his fate grown mellow, instant to fall into the rotten jaws of Chapple death. Now down looks Providence to attend the last act of my son's revenge. Be gracious observation to our scene, for now the plot unites his scattered limbs close and contracted bands. The Florence prince, drawn by firm notice of the Duke's black deeds, is made a partner in conspiracy. The states of Venice are so swollen in hate against the Duke for his accursed deeds, of which they are confirmed by some odd letters found in dead Strotzo's study, which had passed betwixt Piero and the murdering slave, that they can scarce retain from bursting forth in plain revolt. Oh, now triumphs my ghost, exclaiming, "Heavens just, for I shall see the scourge of murder and impiety."
Ghost of Andrugio really playing the Vindicta card. That's the line from Spanish Tragedy. Once again, famous bit of calling for revenge, reiterating everything we've seen in the dumb show, in case you weren't paying attention. Really getting into it. Love that. That was fabulous work from the Ghost there, in case anyone was confused with what's going on. It's definitely into Endgame. William, were you meaning to jump in there?
No, I was just so sad that Strotzo's letters. I was like, yay!
Strotzo gets you from beyond the grave.
Exactly. Sorry.
That's right. However, we rattle on, because that construction under the stage we were talking about last time is used again. Barlurdo from under the stage.
Ho! Who's above there? Ho! I'm murraying on old proverbs. They say hunger breaks through stone walls, but I am as gaunt as lean-ribbed famine, yet I cannot burst through no stone walls. Oh, now, Sir Geoffrey, show thy valour, break prison and be hanged. Nor shall the darkest nook of hell contain the discontented Sir Barlurdo's ghost. Well, I am out well. I have put off the prison and put on the rope. Oh, poor shotten herring, what a pickle art thou in? Oh, hunger, how thou domineerst in my guts. Oh, for a fat leg of ewe mutton in stewed broth, or a drunken song to feed on. I could belch rarely, from I am all wind. Oh, cold, 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 cold. Oh, poor night. Oh, poor Sir Geoffrey. Sing like a unicorn before thou dost dip thy horn in the water of death. Oh, cold, oh, sing, oh, cold. Oh, poor Sir Geoffrey, sing, sing.
And indeed, poor Sir Geoffrey sings. Oh. Enter Antonio and Alberto at several doors, their rapiers drawn in their masking attire.
Vindicta!
Mellida.
Alberto,
Antonio.
hath the Duke supped?
Yes, and triumphant revels mount aloft. The Duke drinks deep to overflow his grief. His course is rapt to the pleasure. Each man strains to feign a jocund eye. The Florentine,
Young Galeatzo.
even he, is mighty on our part. The states of Venice,
Enter Pandulpho running in masking attire.
Like high-swollen floods drive down the muddy dams of pent allegiance. Oh, my lusty bloods, heaven sits clapping of our enterprise. I have been labouring general favour firm, and I do find the citizens grown sick with swallowing the bloody crudities of Black Piero's acts. They fain would cast and vomit him from off their government. Now is the plot of mischief ripped wide ope. Letters are found twixt Strotzo and the Duke, so clear apparent, yet more firmly strong by suiting circumstance, that, as I walked, muffled, to eavesdrop speech, I might observe the graver statesman whispering fearfully. Here one gives nods and hums what he should speak. The rumours got 'mong troops of citizens, making loud murmur with confused din. One shakes his head and sighs, "Oh, ill-used power!" Another frets and sets his grinding teeth, foaming with rage, and swears, "This must not be." Here one complots, and on a sudden starts and cries, "Oh, monstrous! Oh, deep villainy!" All knit their nerves, and from beneath swollen brows appears a gloating eye of much mislike, whilst swart Piero's lips reek stream of wine, swallows lust thoughts, devours all pleasing hopes with strong imagination of what not? Oh, now, Vindicta. That's the word we have. A royal vengeance or a royal grave.
Vindicta!
I'm a cold.
Who's there? Sir Geoffrey?
A poor knight, God wot. The nose of thy knighthood is bitten off with cold. Oh, poor Sir Geoffrey, cold, cold.
What chance of fortune hath tripped up his heels and laid him in the kennel, huh?
I will discourse it all. Poor honest soul, hadst thou a beaver to clasp up thy face, thou shouldst associate us in masquery and see revenge.
Nay, if you talk of revenge, my stomach's up, for I am most tyrannically hungry. A beaver? I have a headpiece, a skull, a brain of proof, I warrant ye.
Slink to my chamber then, and tire thee.
Is there a fire?
Yes,
Is there a fat leg of ewe mutton?
yes,
And a clean shirt?
yes.
Then I am for you most pathetically and unvulgarly, law.
And he exits.
Resolved hearts, time curtails night. Opportunity shakes us his foretop. Steel your thoughts, sharp your resolve, embolden your spirit, grasp your swords, alarum mischief, and with an undaunted brow, outscout the grim opposition of most menacing peril. Hark! Here proud pomp shoots mounting triumph up, borne in loud accents to the front of Jove.
Oh, now, he that wants soul to king a slave, let him die slave and rot in peasant's grave.
Give me thy hand, and thine, most noble heart. Thus will we live, and but thus never part.
And they exit twined together. Cornets sound a senate to move into the next scene. I assume there's a prison break there that they break
yeah, right?
Barlurdo out. You know, the And Barlurdo's list, I feel like that could be improvised for as long as Barlurdo feels like it, because the response there is always, yes, anything you want. Yeah. PlayStation, yes.
Bubbles.
Yes.
A fire, some food, and a clean shirt will do me.
Yeah, right. Vindicta is, I love the way it's now Vindicta. That's the word we have. That's literally all we've got. We've got Vindicta. We nicked it from that other play. And it's like, actually, we don't have anything else. That's just it. They just keep bringing it up. Oh, it's such a sad little scene for poor Barlurdo. I do love that. It's so nicely done.
But he gets his escape, so it's a happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's a nice counterpoint. They're all running on and going, oh, are we ready to do the masky death bit? And he's just going, help. And that again, reiteration, third time they've mentioned how we've got to where we are, that everybody hates Piero now. Third, we've had once in the dumb show, once by the ghost, and now third time from Pandulpho, just to make sure everyone's following the plot. Vomit him. We've had vomit a couple of times in this play, haven't we? It's an awful lot of vomiting going on.
And pell-melling.
Yeah.
And a helter-skelter.
Yeah, and heaven sits clapping, so there should be some thunder and lightning going on as well. The scene should involve effects. We're almost at the end, people. We've got one scene to go.
Gird your loins.
Gird your loins. Any last thoughts before we go into the final act? Any predictions?
It's all going to end happily.
Somebody's going to die.
We're going to die.
Okay, let's head to the banqueting hall, as it says in the script. Enter Castilio and Forobosco, 2 pages with torches. Lucio, still bare. Piero and Maria Galeatzo, 2 senators, and Utrice.
Sit close unto my breast, heart of my love. Advance thy drooping eyes, thy son is drowned. Rich happiness that such a son is drowned. Thy husband's dead. Life of my joys most blessed, in that the sapless log that pressed thy bed with an unpleasing weight, being lifted hence, even I, Piero, live to warm his place. I tell you, lady, had you viewed us both with an impartial eye, when first we wooed your maiden beauties, I had borne the prize. 'Tis firm I had, for fair I had done that.
Murder.
Which he would quake to have adventured. Thou know'st I have.
Murdered my husband.
Worn out the shock of war, and done what not that valour durst. Dost love me, fairest, say?
As I do hate my son, I love thy soul.
Why then, I owe to high men mount a lofty note. Fill red-cheeked Bacchus, let Laius float. In burnished goblets, force the plum-lipped god. Skip light, lavoltas in your full-sapped veins. 'Tis well brimful. Even I have glut of blood, let quaff carouse. I drink this Burdo wine unto the health of dead Andrugio, Felice, Strotzo, and Antonio's ghosts. Would I had some poison to infuse it with, that having done this honour to the dead, I might send one to give them notice on't. I would endeavour my favour to the full. Boy, sing aloud, make heaven's vault to ring with thy breath's strength. I drink, now loudly sing.
There's a song that possibly is just, thank God there's something else other than, what planet is he on? Oh, I'm seeing the Trumps. I really have to say that now, haven't I? It just, as a sort of relationship as well. It's just wow.
Truth is what I say it is at this present moment.
Yeah.
I mean, he's quite a bit more coherent than Donald Trump, but okay.
Well, that doesn't take much doing.
Yeah. Anyway, cheap shot, but wow. Okay. Song is ended. The cornet sound of Senate. So enter Antonio, Pandulpho, and Alberto in masquerade, disguised revengers. Barlurdo also, and a torch bearer.
Call Julio hither. Where's the little soul? I saw him not today. His sports alone for him in faith. For babes and fools I know relish not substance, but applaud the show.
So Galeatzo speaking now is going to speak to each person in turn. So to the conspirators, it's going to be first to Antonio, first line to Antonio, then to Pandulpho, then to Alberto. So Galeatzo speaks now.
Oh, blessed fortune crown your brave attempt. I have a troop to second your attempt. The Venice states join hearts unto your hands.
By the delights in contemplation of coming joys, 'tis magnificent. You grace my marriage eve with sumptuous pomp. Sounds still loud music. Oh, your breath gives grace to curious feet that in proud measure pace.
Mother, is Julio's body...
Speak not, doubt not. All is above all hope.
Then I will dance and whirl about the air. Methinks I am all soul, all heart, all spirit. Now murder shall receive his ample merit.
And there is the measure, though while the measure is dancing, so dancing things, Andrugio's ghost is placed betwixt the music houses.
Bring hither suckets, candied delicates. We'll taste some sweetmeats, gallants, ere we sleep.
We'll cook your sweetmeats, gallants, with tart sour sauce.
Here will I sit, spectator of revenge, and glad my ghost in anguish of my foe.
And the maskers whisper with Piero.
Marry, Anne Charles, in faith I were too rude if I again said so civil fashion. The maskers pray you to forbear the room till they have banqueted. Let it be so. No man presume to visit them on death.
The maskers whisper again.
Only myself? Oh, why? With all my heart.
Exeunt all but Piero and the maskers.
I'll fill your consort. Here Piero sits. Come on, unmask, let's fall to.
And the conspirators bind Piero, pluck out his tongue, and triumph over him.
Murder and torture! No prayers, no entreats.
We'll spoil your oratory. Out with his tongue.
I have it, Pandulpho. The veins panting bleed, trickling fresh gore about my fist. Bind fast. So.
Blessed be thy hand, I taste the joys of heaven, viewing my son triumph in his black blood.
Down to the dungeon with him! I'll dungeon with him! I'll fool you! Sir Geoffrey will be Sir Geoffrey! I'll tickle you!
Behold, black dog!
Grinnest thou, thou snarling cur?
Eat thy black liver.
To thine anguish see a fool triumphant in thy misery. Vex him, Barlurdo.
He weeps. Now do I glorify my hands. I had no vengeance if I had no tears.
Fall to, good duke. Oh, these art worthless cates. You have no stomach to them. Look here. Here lies a dish to feast thy father's gorge.
And there they uncover the dish that contains Julio's limbs.
Here's flesh and blood, which I am sure thou lovest.
Piero seems to condole his son.
Was he thy flesh, thy son, thy dearest son?
So was Andrugio, my dearest father.
So was Felice, my dearest son.
Enter Maria.
So was Andrugio, my dearest husband.
My father found no pity in thy blood.
Remorse was banished when thou slewest my son.
When thou empoisoned my loving lord.
I think that must be your dialogue, not a
must be
stage direction.
dialogue,
Do
yeah.
that line again from the top.
When thou empoisoned my loving lord, exiled was piety.
Now, therefore, pity, piety, remorse be aliens to our thoughts. Grim, fire-eyed rage possesses wholly.
Thy son, true, and which is my most joy. I hope no bastard, but thy very blood, thy true begotten, most legitimate and loved issue. There's the comfort on't.
Scum of the mud of hell!
Slime of all filth.
Thou most detested toad.
Thou most retorted obtuse rascal.
Thus charge we death at thee. Remember hell, and let the howling murmurs of black spirits, the horrid torments of the damned ghosts, affright thy soul as it descendeth down into the entrails of the ugly deep.
No, let him die, and still be dying.
They offer to run all at Piero, and on a sudden stop.
And yet not die, till he hath died, and died 10,000 deaths in agony of heart.
Now, pell-mell! Thus the hand of heaven chokes the throat of murder. This for my father's blood!
And he stabs Piero.
This for my son.
This for them all. And this sink to the heart of hell.
They run all at Piero with their rapiers.
Murder for murder, blood for blood doth yell.
'Tis done. And now my soul shall sleep in rest. Sons that revenge their father's blood are blessed.
And we can assume at some point during all this, Piero expires, but it isn't actually explicitly stated in the stage directions. Little green bag plays in the background, and the curtains being drawn exit Andrugio. Enter Galeatzo, 2 senators, Lucio, Forobosco, Castilio, and ladies.
Whose hand presents this gory spectacle?
Mine.
No, mine.
No, mine.
I will not lose the glory of the deed, were all the tortures of the deepest hell fixed to my limbs. I pierced the monster's heart with an undaunted hand.
By yon bright-spangled front of heaven, 'twas I sluiced out his lifeblood.
Tush, to say truth, 'twas all.
Blessed be you all, and may your honours live religiously held sacred, even forever and ever.
Thou art another Hercules to us in ridding huge pollution from our state.
Antonio, belief is fortified with most invincible approvements of much wrong by this Piero to thee. We have found bead rolls of mischief, plots of villainy laid twixt the Duke and Strotzo, which we found too firmly acted.
Alas, poor orphan.
Poor, standing triumphant over Beelzebub, having large interest for blood, and yet deemed poor.
What satisfaction outward pomp can yield, or chiefest fortunes of the Venice state, claim freely. You are well-seasoned props, and will not warp or lean to either part. Calamity gives a man a steady heart.
We are amazed at your benignity, but other vows constrain another course.
We know the world, and did we know no more, we would not live to know. But since constraint of holy bands forceth us keep this lodge of dirt's corruption, till dread power calls our soul's appearance, we will live enclosed in holy verge of some religious orders, most constant votaries.
The curtains are drawn, and Piero departeth.
First, let's cleanse our hands, purge hearts of hatred, and entomb my love, over whose hearse I'll weep away my brain in true affection's tears. For her sake, here I vow a virgin bed. She lives in me. With her, my love is dead.
We will attend her mournful exequies, conduct you to your calm sequestered life, and then
Leave us to meditate on misery, to sad our thought with contemplation of past calamities. If any ask, where lies the widow of the poisoned lord? Where lies the orphan of a murdered father? Where lies the father of a butchered son? Where lives all woe? conduct him to us three, the downcast ruins of calamity.
Sound doleful tunes, a solemn hymn advance, to close the last act of my vengeance. And when the subject of your passion's spent, sing, Mellida's dead. All hearts will relent in sad condolement at that heavy sound. Never more woe in lesser plot was found. And oh, if ever time create a muse that to the immortal fame of virgin faith dares once engage his pen to write her death, presenting it in some black tragedy, may it prove gracious. May his style be decked with freshest bloomed of purest elegance. May it have gentle presence, and the scene sucked up by calm attention of a choice audience. And when the closing epilogue appears, instead of claps, may it obtain but tears.
And there's a song. Happy, cheerful, happy song. And everyone exits. So many things. I killed him, I'm Spartacus.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so I'm Spartacus and so's my wife. It's yeah. The cutting out of the tongue, obviously looking back to Geronimo again, but also just the fact that they all get to throw insults at him. He doesn't get to do long speeches anymore, no more monologues. And yet, bless Barlurdo, he's so crap at curses, isn't he?
Well, if he had more money, he could curse better.
It's just everyone's going.
Explain this.
Everyone's, you scum, you filth, you rascal. So yeah, we get. Yeah, go.
Sorry, I was just saying, it's always borrowed vocabulary. It's words that he picks up along the way.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any words of his own.
No.
And he very often puts them in the wrong context. Yeah.
Bless him.
Bless him.
Yes.
We're getting a bit of Thyestes in this as well, so a bit more Seneca as well thrown in here with the eating of the
child,
the limbs of the child. And at the end they all go, well, we're all gonna it's fine because we're all gonna go into holy retreat, so everything's
Live as a monk for the rest of our days, so it's
there's no sense of anyone coming in saying, hang on, a lot of murder happening here. And anyone want to? No, okay.
Well, they wash their hands. It's very
well. It was messy.
Very yes.
very Corona ready.
So yeah, very very current.
Yeah, I mean it's an end of with death. It's what we come for a revenge tragedy for. The revenge happened.
Yes.
Mellida's dead, definitely dead. There is no lying. Yeah. I mean, it happens so quickly. They pluck out his tongue, and he doesn't even get. Piero gets nothing.
Nah.
And how is he tricked? They whisper to him. We don't even hear the trick.
Everyone must leave, but you.
Yeah. But Piero, by this point, is clearly just completely unhinged. He's just totally divorced from reality, isn't he?
And drunk.
Yeah.
Yes.
And drunk.
Yeah. What an
He
end.
He doesn't quite get his wish about the style being elegant when they talk about the future, because you imagine, you compare what actually happens in the account of this event. There are quite a few funny bits as well. So when he says at the end, being the freshest blooms of purest elegance, etc., etc., it's not quite.
I kind of feel though that Marston maybe thinks it is, and so he's saying that in a kind of "Aren't I great" kind of way. I've written this amazing play, and you must cry.
Right.
I think it might be that it is that thing of leading the witness at the end. You use your prologues and your epilogues to say what you think the audience should think about the play, and to just apologize or set up for it. So it's not an epilogue. It says there's going to be an epilogue. I don't think we've got an epilogue. I don't see it here, and I don't think we've recorded it separately.
No.
Maybe I have, and I've just forgotten to send it out. I can just briefly check that. But yeah, it's
He seems to be talking, though, about some future piece of writing.
Yes, but
may it prove gracious, may his style be decked with freshest blooms of purest elegance. And then, I don't know, if ever time create a muse.
Is he not just playing with the audience, though? I mean, effectively, does Antonio not become the epilogue, and he's just being all very meta and, you know, giving a nudge to the audience?
well, so this is the epilogue, but it's pretending not to be the epilogue.
Yeah.
That's cunning. Give me a second. I will be able to confirm or deny whether there is an epilogue in a second. I just need to. I may be cutting out at this precise second in time because I'm using the internet separately.
Just a thought: is he trying the same trick that he did in the first play, where he deliberately said, you know, if this goes down well, there'll be a sequel? Is he trying the same trick again?
Yeah, I mean, he has previous, doesn't he? So
Yeah, he's got so much previous that he's almost rivaling Norman Stanley Fletcher.
I don't know. It doesn't feel quite that. I mean, it's true. We could go on. We could nip to, you know, to the retreat wherever they are and see what's going on there. I suppose we could do that.
Don't think that'll go well or last long.
they'll all get fed up with Antonio wailing and gnashing his teeth out.
The saddest man of all time.
God, man up.
Yeah, they'll end up playing Monopoly with real money.
Okay, I think I feel a bit stumped by the ending. I mean, there's not much to say about the ending except for, you know, wow, lots of stuff. You know, all the things, the throwing all the kitchen sink at this scene. Yeah, I love the way they all charge in and then stand there just to make him afraid. I mean, that's really
that's very funny.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's also like horrible. I mean, you can imagine that it's played to make the audience laugh, but it's also, when you think about what they're doing, it's just
they are torturing him in different ways.
I just have to say, they do cut out his tongue before he eats the child, or does he even taste the child? That's just
no. I don't think he does.
He doesn't eat the child.
I think they just reveal it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay then.
Not a little
I
bit
mean,
of
there
the
are
juice.
plays in which the child gets eaten.
Yeah. We've Thyestes, the Senecan, setup is all there. And we were talking about stylistically as well to some degrees. You know, the way some of these speeches are structured. Let's talk more generally about the two plays or this play. We've been on William.
I'd just like to say that at least Mellida is brought back in the Antonia epilogue. That she is mentioned, which harks us back to Antony and Mellida, the first play.
Yeah, she's mentioned, even if the Mellida is very absent from most of this play. I mean, she's a plot device for a lot of it. Which is a bit of a shame. So the two plays. You've been on a journey. How do you feel?
Knackered.
I need a nap.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. Really has. But I've learned a lot about Marston now. I think. I think I've got the signature of what is his style. The repetition, the lists, the weird sweary stuff.
And all of the kind of talking over each other and the clever ways he
Yes.
writes and how he writes the stammers in.
Right.
And, it's really, some of it's beautiful.
And then moments where you just go like, wow, beautiful poetry. But just very briefly.
And then there are of enormous overwriting where the adjectives are excessive.
Particularly with Antonio, I think some of his speeches are just that so much jumbled together. I'm sure that's not just. I'm sure that's deliberate. It's all too. At one point there was something about the rusty coach across the sky or something, and I'm thinking, hang on, that just, I don't know. It didn't sound quite right to my ears, but maybe I've got the wrong end of the stick.
Is that not an echo of what we had in Spanish tragedy?
It may be. I mean,
scenes.
There is a point where actually delving into this in a much more detailed textual way it would probably bring out a lot of borrowings and a lot more borrowings than we've been doing here. This is a very surface exercise, and it seems to be designed to play to a theatre goer who's seen a lot of stuff.
And
it feels Derek brought up Tarantino, and this is the one that feels so Tarantino-esque. But Tarantino's films are constantly filled with borrowings and pastiche from other films and cultural references that they're just thrown together with such verve and energy. Marston just can't seem to sit still. He's just constantly trying to keep the audience entertained, by hook or by crook. And he'll just throw anything at them to change the mood and change the scene and change the action. You never feel like you ever settle into one mode.
No.
Even within a scene, let alone within a speech.
Right.
Sometimes.
It was with Barlurdo at the end, so I'm like knocking on the, anybody, I'm cold. In the middle of all their planning, vengeance. Yeah, it's very funny.
That's my biggest takeaway is Sir Geoffrey.
Oh,
I love Sir Geoffrey.
Yeah, he's great.
Is superb.
Just a thought, Robert. Who were the audience for the Boys of Paul's?
Well, they would be of a wealthier stock. They would definitely have. It costs more. It's not a big audience, so it's much more elite.
Right. I just wonder whether, in part, what we're talking about with the borrowings and references to plays, some of which we are aware of and some of which we are not aware of directly, whether he was almost doing a pub quiz of, bonus points to anyone who spots where I nicked this bit from, or what I'm pastiching here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to tell. I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with the ticket price or necessarily the people. It's definitely for people who go, engaged with culture. In that way. I think that's fair.
Would it have had a court performance?
I don't know, actually. Entirely possible. I genuinely don't know what the overlap with the court would be. I mean, I'm sure they. Every theatrical performance in the country is in theory a rehearsal in preparation to take it to the monarch. That's the pretext by which all drama happens. Whether in practice it did or not, I have no idea. And that's one, maybe if people on the internet, people watching at home, know of such things can tell us. That would be fabulous. I mean, when everyone's saying that they're exhausted, I think that's a very genuine response. Is there's so much thrown at you that you're reacting to emotionally and physically.
And Act 5 seems to go at one hell of a lick.
Yeah.
I mean, there is almost as much action in Act 5 as there is in the 2 or 3 previous acts. I mean, you almost got the feeling of, hold on a minute, the pubs are going to be shutting shortly.
Well, but this is
I don't think they were closing times then.
This is rather a definition of the Act 5 in this sort of play. That Act 5 is where it all happens.
Act 4 is where everyone takes a bit of an in-breath and someone has room to do some philosophizing. That scene with the body feels like the in-breath before big scene.
Antonio was holding his breath at that particular moment.
I don't know so much holding his breath as unable to breathe. Yeah, but it's interesting also the narrowing of the scope in terms of the use of characters. You feel that the Antonio and Mellida had a much more expansive use of characters. The court, even though a lot of them didn't say a lot, were much more used. We've got characters in this, like Forobosco, who has about 2 lines. And he's just there to carry things on and off. Whereas actually, I think he was defined as a character, even if he didn't say that much in the first play. So the court is much tighter. The primary characters are much tighter than the first play, which felt much more expansive. And that's why we had people like Rosaline who did something. Nutrice had 2 good speeches.
Right.
But apart from that, is just there to carry off the fainting people.
The swooners.
Yeah.
Well, it's a job.
Yeah, it's a living.
Somebody's got to do it.
So yeah, in that sense, it's a narrowing of the scope of the story. It's less about the wider court. It's just about this tyrant in the middle pulling a few strings.
Actually, and on that note, and on the swooners note, I love the fact that Piero sort of departeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone just carries him off.
Yeah.
Or is it the closing of the curtain that made him depart?
Yeah, it's a weird moment, and I don't know where that stage direction really lives. I don't know if it lives
like
there.
He just gets up and goes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah.
Dead.
Or the actor just goes, "No, I'm on my tea break. I'll see you."
Yeah, I've had enough. Yeah.
Anything more for me, guys?
The return of Piero's ghost has potential, I feel.
But speaking of ghosts, I thought Andrugio's ghost got a little bit too much stage time.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't mean that in the sense of what you did. I just mean over the whole of the play, because he's not the only ghost that's there, right? There was another ghost that was...
Well, it's Felice's ghost as well, wasn't it?
Felice's ghost, and what happens to Felice's ghost? When do we see that? Once, I think.
Yeah.
He says one word. I think he literally says
Right?
murder. It's this tableau thing because you've got Pandulpho off stage wailing and then you've got Andrugio and Felice, and they're sort of doing a sort of weird choric thing.
So another question for that is that Felice's ghost or is it the body?
Well, it's sitting there going, "Ah!" The possibility of terrifying puppetry suddenly leaps its ugly head.
Yeah, so
But we haven't got-
rather not have that image in my head.
No, it suddenly looks a bit Beaker-like, going back to our Muppets thing.
Oh, God.
How much time actually passes during this thing also? Because at the end we get that mention of, where's Giulio, my son? And he's been dead for ages.
I think the time of this narrative is very quick. I mean, we were discussing the possible time gap earlier that I think we were stretching it out too far.
Yeah.
I think it's probably over a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
right?
that.
Yeah. I mean, interesting, talking about Andrugio's ghost is placed betwixt the music houses. So the idea is that in the space, there are 2 spaces where musicians live above the stage area, and then there's a sort of central place where the ghost might live. And this is actually one of the clues to the architecture as to where things might live in this space.
So a balcony, effectively.
Yeah. But there's sort of somewhere to the left and to the right, and the ghost is standing in the middle, surrounded by the musicians, conducting.
Also, I'm sure that Maria told Piero before that his son died.
No, it's her son who died.
Her son.
She's pretending that Antonio is dead, who is her son.
Yeah.
So he's been told. He's been told that.
Yeah. So Antonio, dressed as the fool, is pretending to be dead. He's got his mother to join in the plot, which, as I say, is very much a steal from the original Amleth text, which is all about. So in that, the Amleth figure goes off to Britain, sends word that he's died, and then in the Great Hall they hang up a whacking great black cloth, and he comes back disguised, gets the entire royal court drunk, drops the cloth over everybody, and then hammers these hooks that he spent the entire narrative whittling, sets fire to the royal court and buggers off. And that's what's supposed to happen in the narrative of the original Hamlet story. Then there's a whole bigamy storyline involving English and Scottish queens. It's really, it's much better than the narrative we have on stage. It's much more expansive.
Where can I read that?
I can send you a link.
Saxo Germanicus.
It is indeed, yes.
Oh.
So it's published at this time. It is a known text that's about. It's a fabulous story. Some of it's utterly bonkers, and so much of it has been stolen since by Game of Thrones. So
I mean,
a big burning court with lots of people dying. That may be an image you may remember.
Is it in Bullock, Narrative and Dramatic Sources of Shakespeare?
I have no idea. We've been doing so well talking about different Hamlets. I'm sure it would be. It will be mentioned all over the shop. I've not written a two-part play of the original story of Amleth. That has not happened, and that is not commercially available at all. Anyway,
while you're talking about posting links, Robert, I think somewhere you did a document that sort of had a chronology of theatre over the date range that you're interested in.
Yes, that was on the Dropbox. It's not currently available, but an updated one may appear.
That could be useful because it would enable us to put these plays into some sort of dative context as to what succeeds what.
Well, on the website, there is a relatively up-to-date timeline section up to about 1570, 80. Right. It gets to the point where there's just too much material to actually put tidily onto web pages. Right. But also, we've done a lot of material prior to about 1560, 70-ish. So you can actually now go from the 13th century and listen to the vast majority of the material written up until the reign of Elizabeth. We've done so much now. We're to the point where we're filling in the gaps. Sweet. In terms of exploring sessions as well as full cast audio adaptations. So there is a list that's not fully comprehensive, and dating varies depending on who you go to. Sometimes things get confusing. But this one, this play, it starts, the earliest date is about 1599 because the painter scene, if you think back to a few days ago, that painter scene, I read this note recently, the suggestion is that the painting that he's holding up is actually a picture of John Marston himself. There's references in there because he's talking about Anno Domini 1599. So that's one of the reasons they date Antonio and Mellida to that date, and that it's a sort of big in joke reference to it's actually the author's picture himself. Whereas this play is around like a few years later, so possibly around 1602. But there are lots of question marks about precise placing when it first appears. And how long it stays in the repertoire, and that's the other thing. How often Paul's performed is an interesting question as well. I don't think they were as regular as the big public playhouses. I think it was a much smaller number of days that they performed each week, and it was much more peripatetic. So, depending also what time. It changes. We're getting to the point where the second Blackfriars is starting up, and things get a bit more complicated.
Yeah, this seems to me like one of those things where you would need slightly more rehearsal than they were, what we're told they used with the public theaters. Especially with all the songs that are involved right here. And those dumb shows. I mean, you can't just do a dumb show like that, or can you?
No.
Can you just walk on and because there's a massive use of dumb show in this, in both plays, in fact. But I think this one has a dumb show at pretty much the beginning of every act, doesn't it?
I mean, it's a question of some of it's probably you start learning shortcuts when you're a company that do these things all, you know, at least not all the time. The question of the songs is, of course, that do they have a repertoire that they just whack into the play? And I would have thought that some of it would be like that. You know, we don't have many lyrics here. We do have some for Jack Drum's Entertainment, which is about the same time. In fact, that seems almost part of the principal excitement of the printing is there's this whacking great song that you don't actually have to have all the words for, because they repeat every single chorus every single time, and it's epic. It goes on for about 2-3 pages. And so maybe it was just there they hit upon a hit as part of the show that became a selling point.
I mean, could the songs be a similar sort of device to what was used quite a bit later in Beggar's Opera, using street ballads?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not really my field, but I would be amazed if it wasn't using a repertoire of popular as well as in-house music. Final thoughts, because we're into extra time, well into extra time. From the room, Sarah, do you have anything for us to round us all off?
My final thought is I'm probably going to have Scum of the Mud of Hell put on a T-shirt. Yeah, that's a great line.
Yeah. T-shirt lines. I'm always looking for T-shirt lines.
Yeah, well, that's definitely one.
Yeah.
Scum of the Mud of Hell. Otherwise, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I did feel like, like the two plays, like I said yesterday, the two plays mirror each other weirdly, and that the first one starts off in chaos and then gradually pulls focus, and then this one does the reverse. It starts off quite focused, then it goes really chaotic, but then it does come back at the end, and everything happens in the last 10 minutes. But it was fun, disturbing, but fun, like a Tarantino film.
Disturbing but fun. Yeah. Helen, any last thoughts?
No. I've what I have to say cannot be said. It must be howled and.
Aliki, any thoughts?
I'm going to go for Armando Iannucci's Death of Stalin over Quentin Tarantino here.
Nice.
That mix of gruesome and hilarious.
Oh, I like that as a reference point. Yes. Tamara.
Yes.
I expected more people to die.
What? Yes, me too.
I expected Antonio to get at least some punishment. Killing a child. It's very Tarantino in that, I think, because the good guys aren't exactly good guys, and they get away with it a lot in his movies, except some of them.
Yeah, except when they don't. Veronica, any final thoughts?
Well, this was an absolutely wonderful introduction for me to this group and Elizabethan plays in general. So thank you. Look forward to more. Yeah.
Liz.
Well, I wish that I'd been able to attend more of this particular play, because only twice it's a bit frustrating, and it's great to. But what I have participated in was great fun, and I just love discovering these plays because there's so much in them, and such humour as well. I think the humour is fantastic. Despite the bodies.
Despite the bodies.
Yes. Antonio was quite nice about killing Giulio. I mean, he was a bit apologetic about it.
Oh, that's okay then.
Oh, okay. So because he had a heart of gold.
I want to kill you, but I will.
William.
Well, I'm just so happy for Sir Geoffrey, and I also have a t-shirt line. When thou dost grin, thy rusty face doth look like the head of a roasted rabbit.
Oh yes, that was great. Yes, that's true.
Alan, any final thoughts?
No, I can't think of anything much to add to what's been said.
And finally, Pamela, anything you want to throw in at the end?
I'm with Liz on this because I wasn't in every day. I'm kind of sad that I missed out on parts of it. And just how much I enjoyed things that I didn't think I would, like the really gruesome parts, and yet there's so much comedy there. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by all of it.
Right. Well, the room. Oh, Sarah's got a final thought. Final thought.
I have another final thought. It suddenly occurred to me. Antonio doesn't want to rule Venice because he's off to do his monk thing. So there's a power vacuum in Venice, and Rosaline is Piero's niece. Yes! So maybe she'll come back and rule Venice.
And she will rule Venice with a firm hand. Yes. I could go further with that, but I'm so not going to. If you have enjoyed this session or any of the session that we're doing, remember that this is all part of a process where further down the line, we use this data to try and build or champion or fundraise to make productions of these plays happen. This isn't just an exercise where we all just get together and have fun. It is that exercise, but it is also part of a process. So if you have any thoughts about these plays, if you entirely disagree or would like us to do more with it, then get in touch. Follow us on Twitter at Beyond Shakes. Throw your 2 penny worth at us. And hopefully we can build more of an audience for these plays and expand what we're doing. But otherwise, that's it for us in this week. Many of these group will hopefully be here again next week. But until then, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.